cheerily on this. This has been a long time coming. Thank you.
Further discussion? Gentleman from Jackson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To speak on the resolution.
Proceed, gentlemen.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know, there's some words of wisdom that are generally talked about in tactical military discussions. It says that you should never interrupt your opponent in the middle of making a mistake. I'm going to break that in this moment because I think it's important that we have a discussion about what's actually happening here today rather than talk around it, because I think it's going to, and I know it's going to, do significant damage to my constituents. It's going to do significant damage to your constituents, to the ability of the people that we represent and their ability to challenge and confront us and their government and to make their voice and their will heard. And I've appreciated, as we've talked here, some of the mental and logical gymnastics that have been going on as we've sought to justify why this is actually better or why this is more equal. I would suggest it's not in any sense of the word. And I also appreciate the reverence and untouchableness with which some of the members want to treat our state constitution. And I agree it's important, and I agree we shouldn't mess with it lightly. But I also agree that it's rich to me for us to have this conversation about putting into our state constitution a regime that limits the voice of the people. And I think you'll find that's probably one of the few times that that's even been attempted. And I go back to, as I often do in thinking about this, the very beginning of our Constitution. It's Article 1, Section 1. I know many of you are familiar with this in here. That talks about where we get our power as a legislative body. That all power is vested in and derived from the people. That all government of right originates from the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. I would suggest, as I look at what we're discussing and proposing today, that it's in direct conflict with the very beginning of our Constitution. The idea that we're going to make it more difficult for our constituents, for our people, to pass the laws that we should be doing for them, but frankly aren't listening or are too dysfunctional to do. And I think that's demonstrated as we look at the proposal before us today. Just the, you know, I also find it interesting that we're calling this the Protect Missouri Voters amendment that we're striving to do. I don't think there's anything about protecting or giving a voice to that's happening in that if anything, it's making it harder and it's silencing our people's voices. And I think it's important that we also talk about how we got here. You know, there's a lot of complaints about all the changes that have been put into the Constitution, all the referendums that, or the IPs that come forward to put things in our Constitution and make it a much thicker book than it started out to be. But frankly, the reason why we got there is because of the way this body has treated the voice of the people in the past. There's been lots of times that our constituents have not felt served by us, so they've taken the time, they've gathered the signatures, they've put things on the ballot and sought to make a statutory change, to pass something. And then we wait months after that effort was engaged to come down here and decide we know better. And we're imposing our will, our political thoughts on and over top of what was just what the people just said. So when you keep doing that and doing that and doing that over and over and over again, even just this last session, we did it again. Like the only option then for people is to go the method of doing a constitutional IP so that we can't go in and immediately completely disregard everything the people just said and change it back to the way we want it. And I would suggest that's the heart of this whole discussion and why we're even having it, is that this body has been too dysfunctional over the last couple decades, or even more, frankly, to be listening to what our constituents tell us, what our constituents want. And they've been forced to do these initiative petitions to try and legislate for themselves in a way that we have been unwilling to do. And I think that's just wrong. I mean, I'll stand up every day and twice on Sundays to say that people should get a say in their government, and that we should listen to what that will is when it's expressed. It's also highly problematic to me, and we've talked a little bit about it, that, you know, that this new regime and this convoluted, concurrent, super unattainable majority is going to be required. It's only required in a constitutional amendment, and it's only required when it's the people that does it. That none of this applies if this legislative body decides, well, we want to change something, we want to ask the people to pass it. Well, we're not subject to those same standards, that those thresholds don't have to be met when we do it. And it's just another way of saying we know better. And I think we need to stop doing that. I'd ask my fellow members, I'll be voting no on this, and I would ask you to do the same, because I think it's long past time that we start listening to our constituents and letting their voice truly matter for longer than the 9 months that it takes us to come back here and undo everything that they just did. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Further discussion. Gentlemen